What was your first day on the job like?
My first memory on the job was, I was imagining that tire to be something which is black and round. So they would be pouring a black color liquid onto some mold and they would be taking out tires out of that. So
Okay.
I imagined it to be a very simple process. Contrary to expectations, the place where they first took us was all the raw materials that were stacked, which were completely in different shapes and sizes in the form of rubber bales and powders and carbon black. And the place where the process started is called the mixing. So the whole tire manufacturing process starts in steps of say A, B, C, D. There are five, six different stages in which all the
Okay.
components are manufactured. So when we went to the process A, it was completely different. I could never, configure that, tires are made from such a process. But that was the starting point where the rubber bales are all used and it is mixed with carbon black and chemical. And the whole place was dirty. All the people were in black in color except their white colored teeth. So that is how the scenario was. And I was wondering, am I going to work in such an environment?
Okay.
So, but definitely, it is an amazing process. And when you see the tires come out, you really feel that you have accomplished something. So that was the
Wonderful.
beauty. Yeah. So
So, why do the treads of a tire change practically every year? Is that a marketing thing, or is it more because the process is constantly being innovated?
basically, see the tread pattern. It is there are two aspects to it. Uh, there are actually, I would say, rather three. It is form, fit, and function.
Okay.
Okay, so there are three things to it. Form is how the tire looks like, the aesthetics part. So this comes
Okay.
in more of the cars, the modern day passenger cars and LCV cars, you can say. So how the
Right.
sidewall looks like. Okay, so if it's a sportive bike, sportive sports car, then the sidewall pattern and all is different. The engravings are it gives a sporty look. So the tread pattern is basically determined by the kind of application that is. A typical truck
Okay.
tire, and likewise, if it is like fitted on the front, then it is having a circumferential rib pattern, and if it is fitted at the rear, it has got those radial lugs which run in the radial direction, perpendicular to the center. So that gives the grip actually. So
Okay.
and the front wheel, which is having the circumferential rib, so those patterns they give the guiding actually. So they
Okay.
give the steering
Okay.
property for the vehicle, and the rear tires they give the grip. So every tread pattern is determined by the kind of application that it has. Okay.
Okay.
So if it is a forestry application for that matter, say a mining application, there then you need to have bold lug patterns with rigid shoulders, and it should have pattern in such a way that it should not trap stones. So a lot of things are there. Once you delve deep into the tread pattern, it is not only appearance. So it is not changing for sake of marketing or anything, but
Right.
it has got a purpose behind it. Yeah.
Okay. Great. When you do a graduation in chemistry, tires are not the first thing that come to mind. But today's guest, Mr. Sri Krishnan Natarajan, has long years, decades of experience in managing the manufacturing of tires and tire technology. What does it take to manage the full life cycle of tire products from conceptualizing it, prototyping it, production to end of life analysis? How do you gain extensive experience from early concept to final product testing? And how do you learn production workflows and create seamless operational efficiency for quality enhancement? And how do you keep driving innovation in tire technology? I'm sure he'll have a lot of answers and interesting insights to what it means to take up a job in tire technology. And when we were chatting yesterday, he told me that even after at this stage, he's constantly looking to see how he can expand his knowledge. And the other thing which he's going to speak about is the number of things that rubber can be used for. So let me welcome Sri Krishnan, and then let's take it from here. Great to have you on the show, Sri Krishnan Natarajan.
Thank you, sir. Thank
Okay,
you very much, and very, very good morning to you, Mr. Venugopal. It is
thank
a
you.
pleasure to have a conversation with you and
Okay,
having a chat with you on my favorite subject, that is
subject, yes.
biotechnology.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
So, so tire technology is is complex, like you mentioned. So, a typical day in a factory, what is it like?
Before I get into the factory part of it, I'll just give you a brief of how the whole thing is conceptualized. That is where
Okay,
it actually starts.
okay,
Much before the manufacturing process, normally
mm,
the design engineers and the marketing team put together, they
mm,
have an interaction with the customers, especially the
okay,
OEM manufacturers, and then they understand the customer requirements and then
mm,
conceive this in the form of design. Like, to just give you a rough idea, like what will the design of the vehicle be like, what will be
okay,
the ground clearance, okay, where will be the application, what is the kind of load, is it
mm,
going to be a typical passenger car or is it going to be a truck tire, or is it
okay,
going to be applied in a rocky terrain, is it in the mining or is it in the port application, or it is going to be a lawn and garden, right? So, or it is going to be the agriculture or harvesting. Okay, so like even if it is say like cultivation of say sunflower, just for example. So
okay,
the pattern and the dimension of the tires there are very different because the
mm,
sunflower shoots are very tall and the vehicle chassis is so very at a very great height from the ground. So the design aspects should be done accordingly. If
okay,
there is any mistake with the design aspects, then the sunflower shoots can get damaged, both by way of dimension and pattern. Like that, for every application, there are design concepts, requirements of the customer which have to be understood, which get converted into the design aspects. And once the
okay,
design is frozen, like by way of dimensions, load carrying capacity, inflation pressure, and all that, so then the material part comes into picture. So what material can be used to satisfy those requirements? And once the material and dimensions are decided, then the specifications are received at the plant. And the plant
okay,
then processes. So that is where actually the prototyping of the process starts.
mm,
And coming to the tire manufacturing process as such, it is not only the product quality, how it looks. So there are
okay,
two types of requirements. One is the product requirement, and the other is the process requirement. And the process requirement, quality requirement starts from the raw material procurement stage onwards.
right,
So right from raw material quality, we need to ensure that who are the vendors, quality vendors,
mm,
what
mhm,
material they are going to supply, and to what
mm,
quality they will supply. Okay, what are the specifications of those raw materials and how they will be evaluated in the plant. So the
okay,
process starts from there, and the testing of the raw materials are the first things to start. So
mm,
before doing the testing, we have a set of something called the approved vendor list from where the raw materials are procured. Then
right,
they are tested in the laboratory. So there are basically two major tests, the
mm,
chemical test and the physical test. The chemical test are for all the chemicals like carbon black.
right,
We have something called accelerator, sulfur. These are the vulcanizing agents to put it in technical terms. And then you have the different kind of rubbers. The different rubbers are used in different applications again. So if you have to have load carrying capacity, one type of rubber. If you need good abrasion resistance, one type of rubber, right? If you need smooth ride and cushioning, and so one particular type of rubber. So like that for every application, the rubber also changes. The formulations change. So these are very typical of a particular application. And once
Okay.
the and in the testing, like I said, that is my area where I started my career with.
Hmm.
So I used to operate on the different testing equipments, where the equipments like can say one can be used for determining the viscosity of the rubber compound that is made.
Hmm.
One test is for the finding out the tensile testing, the physical
Hmm.
properties. So we have
Okay.
equipments which test the stress strain properties. We have equipment which can test the abrasion resistance, right?
Okay.
And like that, there are different properties which can be evaluated even before the tire is made on a laboratory
Okay.
scale. And how it is going to behave in the field. It is kind of predictive. Okay. And then likewise, the chemicals are also tested for purity, for various chemical properties, dispersibility. For example, we have something called percentage insolubles, which gives
Hmm.
an idea of the purity. Okay.
Okay.
Then we have surface area. Surface area of carbon black is a very important property. So like that, each and every chemical has got different properties. So
Wow.
these are all,
That's
yeah,
No,
yeah,
it's
these are all,
amazing how something that
yeah,
looks simple from the outside, or you just see
yeah,
vehicles moving around with tires, but what you just
yes,
explained is the depth and the variation that is involved just for
yes,
specific applications. I'll remember
yes,
the sunflower example for a long time. Okay.
yeah, yeah.
But
So
in the when you're in the actual factory on a day-to-day basis, what kind of is it that you're interacting with vendors, you're looking at parts of the workflow? Is there some process that happens there, or is it whatever is driven by the schedule for the day?
yeah, normally how a plant works is the plant gets the production schedule from the planning department,
Okay,
and then there is a process called say mixing, where all the compounds are all mixed there as per the schedule. So there it
okay,
will be the raw rubber and chemicals will be put in a chamber, and the chamber is having a rotor kind of a setup, and then it will mix the rubber compound there. So that will be one part of the process where rubber compounds are made. There will be
okay.
one part where nylon fabric is processed separately.
Hmm.
The tire companies normally procure nylon fabric from the vendors, and then they do the calendaring. Right. Earlier, there was some process called dipping, which is not
Hmm.
done now by the tire companies these days, because the
Okay,
dipping process has been taken over by the fabric manufacturer himself. So that is a kind of a cost reduction and efficiency improvement, I can say. So
okay,
companies now buy directly dipped fabric. So
okay,
this is rubberized. So wherever whatever material is procured, it is rubberized. So there are, you can say, multiple points where different raw materials are taken, they are rubberized, and then everything comes to a assembly, a process called tire building, where they assemble all these components one by one.
okay.
So it is, in fact, very difficult to understand by just explaining it. Maybe one has to
Yeah, you
actually
need to
see
see it.
see it
Yeah,
like what I'm
yeah.
saying would then make sense. So then on a
Right.
cylindrical drum, the components are placed one by one, and they are built up layer by layer.
Okay.
And that
Okay.
building process again has got a set of quality requirements like centering. Then there should not be any air entrapment or no wrinkle should be there. The finished quality of the green tire should be good. So the inbuilt quality should be very good. So that is how it has evolved over a period of time. And many processes have become now automated. So
Hmm.
that would be process, say, C of the process. When I say process A to E, so this would be tire building would come under. tier C of the part C of the process.
Okay.
Okay.
So typically,
So
when you take new people on at factory or at entry level, you said you started out in testing. So has that changed, or is that typically the way in which people enter the industry and then learn the ropes as they go along?
yeah, normally they are taken as trainees, and then depending on the vacancy, they would be put in those departments. They would be given a general orientation if they are from the non-tire industry of all the
Okay.
process areas. And depending on
Okay.
their aptitude and the way they have picked up, they would be put in production, technical, quality assurance, or in engineering, depending on their aptitude and their qualification. So if there are
Okay.
engineering graduates, they will go into electronics, instrumentation, electrical, and mechanical engineering divisions. So there it is more to do with machines and machinery and electrical panels and programming and all that. Okay.
Okay.
So quality assurance people would be the teams which would be required to do the audits, and they would be trained to do the audits in shifts. So they need to check the compliance to the specifications and then make a report, and then they have to summarize the shift details and give a report to their section heads. Technical
Okay.
would be
Okay.
more to do with prototyping, adapting the technical specifications to suit the process, the machinery, and then get the prototype components made and make the prototypes tires made and get them tested. And once the
Oh,
testing is completed and the design aspects are met, then we would be releasing it to the next process called the pilot run. So after the
okay.
pilot run, we will see how the product is behaving and what are the process issues we are facing, and then we would try to take corrective actions of those product and process issues, and then we would be commercializing the production. So that
Okay.
is how it will
Can
be.
you give me, yeah, can you give me an idea of what are the entry level salaries and what are the career paths like?
See, typically for in the tire industry, as far as I know, the entry level salaries would be ranging from 2 lakhs to 2.5 lakhs per annum,
Okay. Okay.
because they are absolutely fresh. They wouldn't be able to contribute to the company. So it is a more of
Right.
a 6 months to 1 year period is a learning phase for them. So they would be adding to their skills. So they would start with only such salaries, and normally companies give subsidized lunch to them in the canteen. So all those things are
Right.
subsidized, and so there is a tea break and snacks. So many companies
Right.
give them as subsidized, and then there are safety shoes. There are uniforms for them,
Right.
which have now become mandatory in many of the companies. So
Right.
these are the kind of facilities, and normally, depending on the availability, they give accommodation. Where if they have a colony near the plants, they give an accommodation also under subsidized schemes, right? And
And
uh,
and sorry, what is the typical career path? You mentioned technical, quality assurance, and IT related. So if you could give me broad ways in which people are able to move up the ranks, that would be
yeah,
helpful.
see, normally there would be in the officer cadre there are officer and senior officer cadre. So that
Okay.
would they would be elevated to the next level depending on how they pick up and how their performance is, whether they are taking interest and initiative. So they'll
Hmm.
have a regular performance appraisal system which they have to go through, guided by
Right.
HR, and the department head would constantly give every quarterly there will be a review of how their performance has been and where are the shortcomings and how they need to improve. So this feedback is given, and if they respond very positively and they
Hmm.
take their own initiative to learn. First of all, it is the learning phase. So if they take
Right.
interest in learning, so the first year we only evaluate that, and once the learning comes in the first 2 years, so they gain confidence. So then they start suggesting improvements in the process. So they start taking
Right.
corrective actions on their own. So that is where the contribution towards the company comes. So once
Right.
that comes, so the recognitions and rewards automatically follow. So in
Right.
3 years' time, a typical trainee would be going to the ranks of officer, senior officer. So
Hmm.
the nomenclatures may vary from company to company. So that is how the next level is the officer level. After the entry level, it is the officer, senior officer level. And then 3 years down the line, they would be going to the assistant manager or deputy manager level.
Okay.
And in the next 3 to 4 years, they would go to the manager level where they would be having a team of 5 officers or 5 trainees under them, and they would be managing a section. Say, for example, uh, a tire building section or a tire
Okay.
curing section. So they have a team
Okay.
to manage them. So then their people management skills also get added up
Come into play.
as they gain
Yeah.
experience.
Right.
Because
Right.
any process is consisting of people, process, and systems. So
Yes.
how well they have grasped these three things, the three P's.
Right. Right.
So that is what is important. Yeah, that's how it
Okay.
goes.
Great. So I'm speaking to Mr. Sri Krishnan Natarajan, and in the first segment, he spoke about what it means to be part of the tire technology plant and what is involved with the day to day functioning, right from getting the specifications from the client to getting into design and then getting into prototyping and then looking at how tires themselves, the tires need to be manufactured, and then obviously the production lines will then have to be scheduled before the tires are actually produced and then tested before they are released into the market. It means that there is a steep learning curve for anybody who's entering the profession, which is why he said that people who are entering into tire technology, the first 6 months to a year, they're really learning. So the salaries are not very high to begin with, but the prospects for long term is pretty good because it means that there is a very steady progress provided the person shows interest and initiative. So, in the next segment, I'll be speaking to him about how his own journey of how he started as after being a graduate in chemistry from Anna University, getting into tire technology, and then how his own career progressed, because that's also an illustration of how there is a combination of luck, skill, and effort. And that is really what we'll be looking at in the next segment. So, what exactly was your kind of journey through tire technology? You said you started off at MRF. So, why don't we begin there? And you can tell me how you progressed from there.
Uh, yeah, I started my career with the MRF in the Corporate Technical Laboratory. I was
Okay.
then put into the physical testing department. So that is a
Okay.
training period for about a year. But the advantage with me was that I had the opportunity to operate all the test equipments myself, more to do with the physical testing part. And I also had the opportunity to do the mill mixing myself because
Okay.
now these days we have those modern lab scale mixers where you don't have to dirty your hands. But in those days, we used to do mixing on the two-roll mill, where we used to collect the raw materials ourselves, weigh them as per formulations, and do the mixing on the mill. Okay, like how a typical production operator would do it in the shop floor. So that
Okay.
was real simulation of the process. So there were a lot of learnings throughout, and I used to operate all the equipments the rheometer, you have the Muni viscometer, you have the Goodrich flexometer. So these are different equipments which test the different properties. And over a period of a year or so, I gained lot of skills that I could simultaneously operate, multiple equipments, like load the sample in one equipment and then start the testing there. And when the testing is going on in that equipment, start the other equipment and do the testing there also. So like that, I used to juggle between test equipments. from one to the other and then document it as the test is progressing. And then I used to make my reports and correlation studies. So I used to be thrilled at the fact that whenever I did correlation studies, the test reports used to go to the collaborator and the collaborator would test the counter samples. And when the results
Okay.
came, uh, they would always say that your testing values are matching very closely with our testing. So, so universal by principle of science, normally no two equipments, give the same values. But it is
Right.
very important that if you have done the testing correctly, it will be as close as possible. So I always used to be very much happy and satisfied that yes, I never made any mistake in my testing. So that was my starting career, and that was a learning phase where I learned that all about rubber, how a tire is made, what are the polymers, what are the different type of rubbers, because I get to see raw materials in the lab only. So one section
Right.
was the physical testing, and then the other section was the chemical testing. So
Hmm.
I could get exposure to both the areas, but more towards physical testing because I was working there. So,
Okay.
and how very interesting thing is that how these test properties are correlated with the field application. So each and every
Hmm.
test is correlating with the field application. Like tensile strength would be, connected with the load carrying capacity. The abrasion test would be connected with the mileage. Okay. So like that, the heat buildup would be how the tire is going to wear in the market. So how delayed the failure is going to be, or how early the failure is going to be. So we were
Okay.
able to interpret the results also with respect to performance. So that appreciation came later for me. Understanding came later.
Hmm.
So that's how my career in MRF was. So that 4 year
Okay.
period was a learning period, and I
Ah.
wanted to explore the outside world. So after that, I moved from MRF, and I then went on up north,
Hmm.
and I joined Jakarta. So
Okay.
there, and I wanted to work in the shop floor. That was one of the
Hmm.
reasons, and I just want to go see the outside world. I thought that if I'm
Right.
going to stay at home, I would be a very complacent kind of a person, very satisfied with what I'm doing. So I want to
Right.
just explore for new learnings, and people at home were very much apprehensive about that division because the posting was in Rajasthan. So it was a
Okay.
remote place called Kakroli near Udaipur. So I went there, and then the challenges, the different type of challenges were there. One was the weather, the other was
Yes.
the other was the language, because I did not know Hindi. I had some only
Hmm.
basic working knowledge because I did my schooling in through CBSE. So we had
Right.
the Hindi and some exposure to the Hindi letters and all that, but I
Hmm.
absolutely did not have any speaking idea at all. So
Okay.
I managed somehow the initial, 6 months period. So where I
Right.
had to learn the numbers in Hindi. So that
Okay.
was a big challenge, and I really found that part very tough, and I had to learn it. There was no other go but to learn it. Like once you enter the water, there is no way out other than
You have to swim. Yeah.
learn to swim.
Yeah.
So that was the thing. So I learned the language.
There's one question I want to ask
Yeah,
in between, which is that uh, you knew that things would be tough, right? The
yeah,
shop floor and the factory environment is not exactly comfortable like the offices. So, this did this involve mental conditioning of a certain sort, and or you were the kind of person who said, "Let me go ahead and do it because I like this, or I think this is something that I'll enjoy doing."
yeah, yeah. It is. Yeah, you as you very rightly said. Uh, the laboratories are all under conditioned temperatures, and there is a
Right,
AC all over the place, and it's a very cozy environment compared to the plant environment. The plant
right.
is it is hot and dusty because of the carbon black and the various chemicals and all that, and it is hot because of the curing process. The vulcanization
Okay,
process happens at very high temperatures, so the normal plants are quite hot. In India, you have summer for 8 to 9 months.
Yeah.
So
And I
you
can
can,
imagine Rajasthan being really hot.
yeah, dry
Yeah.
and dry hot also. No humidity
Right.
or anything like that.
No humidity at all. Yes.
Yeah, so that
Okay.
was a big challenge. But then the thrill was, the motivating factor was the learning aspect. Like I
Right.
was amazed to see how the tires were being made, how the components are being made, how the whole thing is processed. Okay, and like it was a real all everything was new for me, right from language, climate, culture, and there they speak the local
Food.
dialect. It is not even Hindi.
Yeah.
It is
Yeah.
Mewadi in
Okay.
that place. So
Right.
and different cultures also outside of the plant, different cultures. So basically, what
Right.
was driving me was getting exposed to learning new cultures, okay, learning new language, and trying to survive in that environment. And the best part was that I had opportunity to move further up north, and I got posted in a place called Parwanu for
Okay.
my one of my official tour activity. We used to do some job work outside.
Okay.
So I had to go to that place where it was, I think it was as close to Shimla, 3 hours away from Shimla. So it was a place called
Okay.
Parwanu where
Hmm.
went for mixing. And
Hmm.
there again, it's a different challenge. It is Punjabi mixed Hindi. So there again, the dialect changes, the food changes. So, but
Right.
my stay and all was quite comfortable there. Food was good there, and I used to send my regular reports from there to my boss. So I used to
Okay.
work very sincerely. I try to do the best, even in it's a very small setup. A mixer unit is a very small setup, and that company was processing uh, polythene actually. So it was a company which was making polythene big sheets for all these agriculture grain,
Okay.
all the grains, right? So and they also used that for covering the river bed. So they used to do polythene manufacture by blow molding process. So that again was a new process for me. That is different from rubber altogether. So I went, I learned their machinery, and then I found out what improvements can be made in their machinery. It was different from what we had in our JK tire plant. So like that, I took interest in whatever I did. So I used to tell them, you please make, even if it is only one parameter, you please make a report. You tell your team to do
Okay.
the testing and give me a report on a 24-hourly basis. So I
Right.
asked them to do the testing. So and then they'll give me a report. I'll go cross check. I'll go cross check whether they are doing the things because I was responsible for my company. So
Hmm.
I had to ensure that things were in order because every one truckload of material would be close to 10 to 12 tons. Okay.
Wow. That's a lot.
So yeah, that's a lot. And
So what
it
would
was
you
a,
do in your off time in a place like that? There are, unlike a city, you don't have too many options for entertainment or places to
yeah,
visit. So how did
yes.
you spend time off the shop floor or when you were free?
I used to stay in the bachelor's hostel. So
Okay.
we had all like-minded people. One was
Okay.
like we used to play games in the lawn there. Okay, there was
Right.
a tennis court. There was a radial we called club called a radial club. So
Okay.
there we used to have indoor games. We had table tennis there. We had caroms there, and there used to
Right.
be cultural programs organized by the company on a periodic basis.
Okay.
So we used to spend time that way, and we also would make a trip to Udaipur.
Okay.
So there was a company buses, and then we would used to go around Udaipur city, do a shopping and
Right.
things, and go around the place, have some good food in a restaurant, and then come back.
Okay.
So
Okay.
that is how it was.
Great. And then you moved to China for about 3, 4 years. You worked in
Yeah, that
China,
was
which again was
during
a
the
completely different culture,
yeah
language, food, all over,
yeah
all different.
yeah yeah
Huh.
that was from 2001 to 2005 for about
Okay.
4 years. So that
Huh.
was on behalf of JK Tire. So that was a outsourcing assignment in
Okay.
China. And
Huh.
why I got selected was that I had this exposure of laboratory and all the process areas of the tire manufacturing. So normally people get restricted to only one particular area, but
Hmm.
and then have experience in that area and they retire. But in my
Okay.
case, right from raw material testing, laboratory testing, I worked in different process areas and textile, then you had curing, then they had tire building. So all these processes. So I could set up a complete, manufacturing process, what it requires for making good quality tires right from raw material onwards. So
Hmm.
I used to set up the complete quality audit methodology and then reporting everything. So as I started doing this, I kind of gained quite a lot of confidence. So I could evaluate any tire plant. Even today,
Hmm.
if you tell me,
Hmm.
walk through a tire plant and tell me how good it is or how bad it is, I can do it
Hmm.
very confidently.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, I've developed a
I
simple
think one
system.
lesson I take from this is don't just stick around to one process and specialize only in that, because while it is important, I think the breadth of expertise that you acquired was really responsible for a whole lot of things, that how your career progressed. So that is probably one of
Progress.
the things that young
Yeah.
people should take away from this, that don't limit your horizons and don't
Yes.
limit your interests.
And have a very open mind and a
Right.
learning attitude.
Absolutely.
I
Okay.
always tell my team and my youngsters who join the organization that have a learning attitude that helps
Right.
in
Right.
lot many ways as you progress.
Okay.
Because if you, the
And
moment you
what
get
were,
into this mode of, I know
huh,
everything, then the learning
yeah,
process stops.
stops. Absolutely. So, what was it in the early days of the Chinese, working in China? Apart from language, I think practically all their reports, everything are in Chinese, or was it,
Yeah, yeah.
ah,
So initially it was very difficult as to we were wondering, we did only the outsourcing part, but then later
okay,
on we went into the technology collaboration. So that
okay,
company decided to go into technical collaboration.
hmm,
So uh, I used to have a Malaysian team with me to support uh, my day-to-day working because they were the ones
okay,
who spoke English. And
huh,
the Chinese, even though they knew how to speak English, they would not speak because they were feeling shy always.
okay,
But attitude
okay,
wise, learning wise, they were always
hmm,
ready. And they were like committed to whatever they did. And that is why they are successful today. And
right,
discipline, their creative ability, and their ability to grasp things so fast. That really amazed me.
right,
So the
okay,
workflow would happen like that I would give everything in English to the Malaysians, and the Malaysian team would translate it in Chinese to the the Chinese team there. And I used to stay in that place called Guangzhou, where
hmm,
Cantonese is the spoken language. It is not Mandarin.
okay,
So
hmm,
Mandarin is the universal common language across China, but
hmm,
in Guangzhou it is Cantonese.
okay,
So, so the English name is in fact called, it is called Canton. So
okay,
there Cantonese is spoken, and so we had a guy who knew Cantonese, and I had a guy who knew uh, Mandarin also. So that
okay,
would be the process flow, communication flow. So I would
perfect.
tell something in English. Like we
Hmm,
used to have a very funny thing when we went around in the field.
hmm,
Like I would tell in English, and
hmm,
the Cantonese guy would translate it to the Mandarin guy, and the Mandarin guy would translate it to the, if you go up north like Beijing and interior
right,
other parts of north, the
hmm,
dialects changes. Like how you have
right,
Punjabi, you have Bhojpuri, like you have
right,
different dialects. So like that, there are different local uh, customizations of the language also. So that is how
right,
it. And when they translate it back, The local guy would speak in his own dialect, then it will get converted to Mandarin, from Mandarin to Cantonese, Cantonese to English and to me.
This is a
That is
whole new
how,
interpretation of the Chinese whisper. But I'm sure
yeah,
that
yeah,
you know you
yeah,
had to balance out all of these because
yes,
uh, the people at both the ends, what you were communicating, you almost had to get a replay to ensure that whatever you were saying was understood and implemented.
yes,
Because it's
yes.
all technical, right?
Ultimately,
So it's
yeah,
even
yeah.
more
The end result was, always amazing, because
right.
that is when you really know that yes, they have understood what uh, we have said, more than the requirement. And
Okay. Okay.
that is how they are successful, because see, at one stage, we also realize that it is not they who should learn English, it is we who should learn
We
Chinese.
who should learn Chinese. Wow.
Chinese.
Okay.
In fact,
So, in the previous segment, Sri Krishnan talked of how he grew in the business and how working in the lab and then understanding each one of the processes gave him a lot of insights on the various aspects of tire manufacture because it was not just the testing, it was also understanding how each of these finally move into the final manufacture and testing on the ground. I think one of the parts which came through very strongly was how committed he was to understanding the entire process and taking the effort to go right through. And whether it was, the physical discomfort, because moving from Chennai to Rajasthan is not exactly the easiest of moves, where culturally, food wise, and people wise, you had to make a lot of adjustments. But this paid off because, as he mentioned, today you can walk through a factory and tell you exactly how the factory is doing and how well it's been set up. And that gave him an amazing amount of insights into the overall structure of running a factory. And this was developed in greater detail when he went to China for 4 years. And like he said, he was selected because of the range of things that he had expertise in. So for anyone who's looking at this I think is one of the most crucial aspects of whatever uh, career progress. Don't limit yourself to just your area of expertise. Learn how the business works, learn how the industry works, learn how quality can be improved and processes can be improved, and that will lead to a whole lot of innovation in and progress in your career. So if you've liked what you've listened to so far, share, subscribe, like, and tell a whole lot of people about this because the whole idea is here is for you to learn from experienced people like Sri Krishnan who bring a wealth of expertise into what they're doing. Back to the show now. So, Sri Krishnan, if you can tell me, I think there was a point where you said instead of asking them to learn English, perhaps we should learn Chinese. So, did you actually manage to learn some bit of Chinese while you were there?
yeah, I wanted to
Okay.
share something on that. Actually, my boss at that time, Mr. Vijay Mishra, he
Huh.
was so very thoughtful that Krishnan, that
Huh.
you are going to be here, there is going to be collaboration happening. And every time
Right.
I went, I used to spend 3 months there. So
Right.
he was the one who motivated me and said that you should not be restricting yourself only to doing uh, tire related activity. You should go explore the country as such. It's a very
Oh,
big opportunity for you. So, and
right.
in order to explore, you must understand the local language. And I want you
Right.
to learn, start using chopsticks. Day one, he started telling me this. And he told the Malaysians who were there with me, no spoons for Mr. Krishnan, nothing. He'll use chopsticks. He'll learn how to use chopsticks. Okay. And
Okay.
he has to speak in Chinese. And don't speak to him in English. But I was looking, wondering what is going on. He was the only person with whom I could speak to. And if they are not going to speak with me in English, I had it, right? Because my everyday
Right.
conversation, food ordering, requiring, asking for a vehicle, with that company. All these things were happening through them only. So,
Okay.
but then after a month or so, those Malaysians said, our saliva is going dry translating for you. We cannot. Okay, you better learn Chinese. You need to manage your routine now on a daily basis. So
Okay.
then, of course, I made it a point to learn and I picked up quite well. I picked up the numbers and I
Hmm.
speak about numbers. Very interesting thing happened. The first day when we checked in into China and into a hotel. So it was managed by a Hong Kong guy in the afternoon when we checked in. And Hong
Hmm.
Kong guys normally speak English, so there is no problem at all.
Okay.
So
Right.
we went to the hotel, we checked in, kept our things, and the vehicle was there for us to go to the factory, and we went out. And we came back, and I rushed to the reception to have a wash, just go into our room. That lady, the girl, very small, young girl who was there, she did not know any English. First of
Okay.
all, the very looks of us, they start feeling shy and they smile and they cannot talk anything
They
other
don't
than
know how to
Chinese. They
talk to
didn't
you.
know how
Yeah.
to respond. So I said, keys.
Right.
Can you please give me the
Uh,
keys? I gave the
uh,
room number. I said, the room number is something, 7026 or something. Can you please give
okay.
me the keys? So she's looking at my face. She's not understanding what I said. I said, you check in your register, check in your entry. My name will be there. That also she did not understand. I went to the extent of taking a paper from her, drawing a key on a piece of paper, and then handing it over to her. And then she's telling, "Oh my God!" So, so I'll just check. So then I gave her the passport. She read my name, everything, and then she said, "Okay, okay." So I have your
Okay.
keys. So then she handed over me the keys. So like that, there are a lot of funny incidences. And whenever you go to the supermarket, we used to uh, keep looking for buying things. Like one very funny example was like we went to wanted to buy sugar cube, right?
Okay.
So same thing happened. Went and told them sugar cube. They did not understand sugar nor cube. So how to communicate that? So after lot of things, like they used to bring different things. They used to bring plastic things, containers in the shape of cube. They used to bring glass containers, different kind of containers, all in cube shape. Whatever they little bit they understood. And then after
Okay.
10, 20, 15 minutes conversation, they brought the manager, and the manager also could not figure out. And then ultimately, somebody who knew Chinese and English, he
Hmm.
translated for us, and then we managed to get that. So it's really
Okay.
very much funny. And sometimes you are stuck
Yeah.
doing this kind of work in China, you call up to somebody
Hmm.
known who can speak English, and then ask them, you please translate. I am at this particular shop. They're very common. So, talking of the Chinese experience, apart from the humor moments with communication and communication gap and Chinese language and stuff, what I would like to tell is they are very, uh, very disciplined people, and they're grasping things like if I explain things on the board, they would be able to do it on the shop floor in the next 3 to 4 months gap that used to be there. I
Wow.
used to come back to India after 3 months and then go back to China. They would have set up the entire layout as per our requirement. That is how they were. So their grasping power is tremendous. They are very good at it.
Amazing.
And they are really
Amazing.
committed. They are really committed. And if they are, progressive, there is a reason. They are
Wow.
progressive. And if people say, oh, they are 25 years ahead, yes, they will continue to be because of the commitment which they have and the discipline which they follow.
And the attitude which you very clearly showed that, if you explain on the board and then 3 months later you find that it has been implemented, that's
Yeah.
probably the best proof that they
Yes.
have understood, they have delivered, and then you can trust them with something going ahead,
Yes.
which is exactly what people expect.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
what is your take on people who want to get into a career in, let's say, it's not just tire technology. I think when we spoke earlier, you told me that rubber is just one aspect, or tires are just one aspect. So there's a lot of opportunity. So why
Yeah,
don't we go and into that in a little more detail, and you can expand on what are the possibilities.
yeah. I'll just explain to you. See, after doing the graduation, whether it is engineering or your science graduation, people are like fish out of sea, and they just do not know because whether it is good or bad, the kind of syllabus that we have in our graduation is not much of application oriented. Okay, and practical knowledge, it is always lacking. That is the industrial orientation as to what exactly happens in the industry. So youngsters need not get disheartened. We have our institutes like the Indian Rubber Institute, where while working, you can register yourself, or even if you are a student, you can register with the Indian Rubber Institute, pay a membership fee, and they are conducting online classes. You don't have to go, you don't have to travel, right? They are conducting online courses for students and for working people also. So you keep adding to the qualification. So they conduct
So
two
what kind of
classes.
courses are these? Do they tell them what kind of career possibilities exist?
Yeah,
What are some of the areas that you can remember?
yeah. See, basically they have a diploma course, which is the diploma of the Indian Rubber Institute, and they have something called postgraduate diploma, which is a PGDIRI, and we have various other polymer science and rubber technology colleges which give these courses, and they will cover tire technology as one of the subjects. And
Okay.
apart from tire technology, this Indian Rubber Institute also has expertise from latex, from various rubber goods manufacturing companies like gaskets, washers, then you have diaphragms, then you have rubber pads, you have shoes, you have tennis balls, okay, you have hose. Okay, so there are various, the list is endless, and there are so many automobile components made out of rubber. Okay, small washers, small gaskets, okay, bellows. So for different applications, and all the industrial experts from these areas, they come and conduct the classes under the auspices of IRI.
Okay.
Okay. So, and then they attend these classes, and then they have a screening test at the end of the course. Okay. And there is a one contact session for about a week or so, which is conducted at
Okay.
Mysore, because
Hmm.
the DBCOE center in Mysore, that is conducting the contact classes. So they can go for a week for a nominal fees. They can attend those classes. Okay, and clarify their doubts also. And the best part is that each and every industrial expert domain, he comes and takes the classes. Like if it is a class on latex, it will be a person who's got 30-35 years experience in latex. He would be
Okay.
processing latex, he would be making latex, based products like latex gloves, and he would be from that company. And he would be talking about that particular product and all that. So that is the best part of this with the total practical orientation. And
Okay.
after the course is completed, and if they get through the screening test, then they attend the exams based on the
Hmm.
syllabus and the preparation that has been done. They have basically four papers uh, for this rubber technology diploma. So one is the
Okay.
polymer science, which talks about basically chemical structures and polymers and all that. Then you have rubber materials, right? And then you have one on polymer processing, and then you have the various rubber goods that are there. So all these papers, they cover different aspects, and these are very simple questions, not very complicated. They would be from what you have studied only, and
Okay.
very practical oriented, industry related problems will be discussed. So once you
Hmm.
are done with the course, then you have a fairly good aptitude of how different rubber products are made. Not only tires, but different rubber products are made. So That is the advantage of doing this type of diploma courses, contrary
And do they
to the
also
regular
offer
graduation.
some kind of career guidance at the end of these courses, or is it, or are the people recruited after doing some of these courses? What is the career path after doing these courses?
Yeah, normally, since most of the faculty is from the rubber industry, so
Hmm.
naturally they can get contacts through the people, and all these
Right.
companies which are producing rubber goods, they look for people who are having some idea about
Hmm.
some knowledge about the rubber goods that are made. Uh, like theoretical knowledge is there, because these courses are all more practically oriented than theory oriented. Okay,
Right.
so there is an industrial visit to a tire plant. There is an industrial visit to a rubber product manufacturing company, like say O-ring or washer or bladders or tube for that matter. So different products, cable manufacturing. So they would be taken to different industries depending on whichever is available at that point of time. So they have a lot of practical exposure, and all the rubber manufacturers and tire manufacturers, they need people. So they go for campus interview, and if they are people candidates with specialization in rubber or diploma in rubber technology, they are most preferred.
Okay.
Yeah,
S- So, this is one set of things which I don't know if people. So, what kind of basic qualification does it require? Is it BSc in science? Is it engineering, a particular stream of
yeah,
engineering? What are the kind of options that
yeah.
come?
Be any engineering would be able to get them into. There is no problem as far as
Okay.
engineering is concerned. And
Hmm.
many engineers these days are doing these rubber technology courses.
Okay.
Okay. So otherwise, for graduates, they normally prefer science graduates.
Hmm.
Okay. So physics, chemistry is
Right.
okay. And there are people
Right.
who do industrial chemistry and come and join the industry. And then they pick
Okay.
up from then on after learning, joining the industry. So basically science graduates and engineering graduates.
Okay. Okay.
And in
And
Cochin,
what is
we have an institute which offers this polymer science and rubber technology where they have subjects related to tires also. That's a
okay?
BTech degree, proper BTech degree. That is by Cochin University.
Hmm. Okay.
Yeah,
And attitude wise, you should be prepared to work in places which are away from urban areas. What is the
yeah,
kind of mental conditioning you think is important for people who are opting for careers in
yeah,
these fields?
yeah. See, basically, one has to have a very outgoing, open attitude because
Right.
learning will come only if they step out of the house. Okay,
Right.
if one is complacent about himself, then learning is not going to happen. So one has to expose
Right.
himself to tough environments. I know many people from South. They always say, "Oh, language is a problem. I can't get rice there. I have to eat roti. No, I will not join that company. So I cannot go and live up north." But then if you overcome these small pleasures and develop a taste for it, it is not as bad as it uh, seems to be projected, right?
Right.
And if you survive those adversities, because I know I was one person who moved out of the house, but I uh, always felt that I grew much better than I would have, when if I had continued here in the same company for a long time.
Right.
So
Right.
that always helps when you take challenges, are ready to face challenges. Okay. So that really, helps you grow. So one of my trainers, by name Indu Ramani, she used to give this example of how the Chinese kill frogs.
Okay.
Okay, so they don't normally kill it and put it and cook it. What they do is they uh, put it in warm water. People think they put it in boiling water so that it will die, so cook and eat it. They put it in warm water. So the frog remains very comfortable. Its belly is warm and it is very happy. But because of that complacent comfort attitude, it slowly gets uh, loses its life. So this example is given as an analogy. It is not to be taken as a
Oh,
literal meaning. So
it's a
the
very
more people,
powerful
yeah.
analogy.
So she said that, see, this is the case of the the frog. So where it gets more complacent. So the more complacent you get, so that only eats you away. Okay.
Right.
So you need to know when to take that leap. So the frog does not
Very
know when to take a leap because it is finding itself so very comfortable. So if it had left out, then it would have escaped.
right.
So so you have to leap out. That is very much take that leap.
Great. I think
That's
on
what it
that
is.
note, we'll conclude it for today because I think it's a wonderful session of the deep experience that you have, and it's not just your experience of tire technology. It's about moving outside your comfort zones, moving outside your
Yeah.
every single constraint that has been placed, and your willingness to learn right through. If people take that lesson from this particular episode, I'll be extremely happy. Thank you for coming on the program and narrating your experiences, which are fascinating. And let me just close out, and then I'll come back to you for a second.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
you could just try. Yeah. So that was Mr. Sri Krishnan Natarajan, and he spoke not just about a career in uh, tire technology, but what it takes to build a career. And I hope one of the takeaways from these episodes is that it is not just about specializing or learning one particular thing. It's about an attitude to learning and an attitude to building a career, which is always being open minded, always willing to accept new influences, and never stop learning. Next week, another guest, another episode. Until then, keep watching.